Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is JD, and who's here with me?
It's Michelle.
It's Michelle! Once again, unimpeded
Michelle.
for 127 episodes.
Oh my God.
It's my partner in crime, Michelle. Michelle, how you doing this evening?
Hi.
You're high? Is that why
Wait.
Is that why you couldn't immediately come up with a response to my question?
I wasn't expecting socializing. I panicked.
That's usually my job, Michelle. You're not usually like, I don't know.
I know. I'm so in my head about this movie that I was like, wait, oh no, how are you doing, JD?
Oh, I'm doing good. Guys, if this is the first time you've caught an episode of We Watch Shudder, first of all, thank you. And what it's all about is right there in the name. Michelle and I are both fans of Shudder, the horror and horror-adjacent streaming service. If you're a horror fan and you don't subscribe to Shudder, you're doing it all wrong. They release a bunch of original and exclusive content. In fact, we're getting a new movie every week for all of September and October. And that's what Michelle and I talk about most of the time. We occasionally step outside the Shudder library, but that's what the show is all about. What is the movie we're talking about today, Michelle?
Well, technically today we've already talked about 3 movies, but this one that is coming out for the people is Blood Flower.
Blood Flower.
Blood Flower, a Malaysian horror film.
Yeah, from Malaysia. Do you know of any other Malaysian horror films right off the top of your head, Michelle?
No, I was trying to rack my brain, and I was trying to look online. There is one called Tiger Stripes, which I have not seen, but it's been on my radar. Outside of that, I could not think of a single horror movie from Malaysia.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I know a few, obviously, from Indonesia, because we've talked about those here on the show even. But no, nothing jumped out at me right away. So I did a quick Google, and there are definitely a couple of titles here that I recognize, but this, I think, is the very first ever Malaysian horror film that I have ever seen. And that's always a cool thing to have happen as part of We Watch Shudder. So
it's always a cool thing when we watch a Malaysian horror film for the first time. You know, as we do every week. That's our gimmick. We watch Malaysian horror.
Michelle.
Yeah?
Why do you do this to me? What did I do something to you in a past life, or just?
Oh, you think it had to be in a past life, not a current life?
I mean, fair.
No, I'm just snarky today. I'm sorry. I went to Hoo Hot. I'm snarky now.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I haven't been to Hoo Hot in so long. Was it so delicious?
No. And the thing is, for people who don't know what Hoo Hot is, you make your own dish. You go through, you pick all the veggies and the meats and the noodles and the sauces. It's like a Mongolian stir-fry thing. Exactly. But the thing is, you prepare it yourself. And so when my food was not great today, I had no one to blame but me.
Wait, you cook it on the grill yourself?
No.
Well,
no, they do the cooking, but I'm saying like my combination of food.
Oh, yeah, you choose the ingredients yourself, but you said you prepare it yourself, and I was like, shit, they're even making you cook your own shit there now?
No, prepare it as in put it in a bowl.
Yeah, you pick your meats and your veggies and your sauces. No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I just...
So I screwed it up, and it was my own fault. And then, of course, I don't like wasting food, so
you ate it anyway.
Now I'm snarky.
Well, you'll just have to try again some other time, Michelle.
Yeah. Let's see if I get snarky about this movie,
Blood
shall
Flower
we?
From Malaysia.
Blood Flower.
Directed by, I believe it's pronounced Dane Syed. I'm not 100%. I'm going to call him Dane Said, that Jane's Addiction song, or maybe it's Porno for Pyros. I don't remember. I should probably not do that. Blood Flower is the movie we're talking about here today. Michelle, you want to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts on Blood Flower?
Sure. Do we usually read the description from IMDb or Shudder first?
You know what? We do. I don't know why I ever bother to try and run these anymore. I've clearly lost the script entirely. You know what's going on. Yes, we do usually start with a descripy script, which actually
I got a descripy script.
I'm surprised I forgot to think of it because the one on Shudder is surprisingly good this week.
Yeah. No, I just have all my windows open, so I'm ready.
Well, so do I.
When he tells you to read the description, it's here. I have multiple monitors. They are all got a designated purpose.
Oh, wow.
I'm ready.
I have just one monitor with some tabs, but all right.
Oh, see, that's why you struggle. I have 4 adjacent windows right now that I'm looking at. So I'll go ahead and read the descripy script from Shudder.
Woohoo!
A teen psychic must embrace his supernatural powers to save his family from a malicious spirit. Bloodflower. Malaysia.
A Shudder original.
A Shudder original from Malaysia.
Yep.
Okay. Now, do you want to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts, or would you like me to hit myself?
I would prefer you to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts. That's why I asked originally.
Okay. I don't know how to put how I feel about this movie in a numerical value. So on a scale of 0 to 5, I'm conflicted. I really like seeing things from other parts of the world, especially because this is a very different style of horror movie than what we would generally get in America. This is a way different pacing than I am used to. It starts off like directly in your face, lots of action, and then it's kind of dramatic, and then it's lots of action, and it felt like a lot of what would be considered a climactic scene in an American movie just happened throughout this movie. There were multiple, like, this could be the conclusion, and it wasn't because we were only 10 minutes in. And then, is this the conclusion? No, we're 40 minutes in. Just lots of big things happening all the time. And I kind of liked it. It was definitely weird, awkward pacing for me, though. Also, special effects, like makeup, and all that stuff. I don't like dramatic special effects in my movie if it's supposed to be kind of realistic, and I feel conflicted about that too, because like Evil Dead is a good example. Evil Dead Rise is one of the few situations where this is not like a natural looking person anymore. This is like crazy over the top effects, and it's really rare for me to like that, but that's what all this movie is. However, if I saw this makeup on Halloween or at a haunted house, I'd be like, holy shit, that's phenomenal makeup. So I feel conflicted about that. It's not bad, it's a lot. This movie was just a lot for me. I'm happy that I got to watch it. I'm excited to see other Malaysian films because I'm curious if this is like a style that I'm just not familiar with. If a lot of their movies are very over the top like this one is. So I do want to check out more Malaysian stuff. This one, it had its ups, it had its downs. I truly feel very, very conflicted about it, so I'm just gonna go right down the middle and go with a 2.5.
All right, 2.5 skulls from Michelle on Bloodflower. Would you like my spoiler-free thoughts now, Michelle?
Nah.
Oh, okay. I guess that's the end of the episode. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle. No, I'm kidding. Please.
We're not going anywhere. We got shit to say.
We got shit to say.
Yeah, spoiler-free thoughts here from me. I hear exactly what you're saying. This movie reminds me of something that I've said about several other movies. The one that jumps to mind specifically for some reason is The Thing Mary Saw. This is a movie that feels like the people who made it were kind of like, well, this might be the only big chance we get, so we got to throw all of our good ideas at it. Right? And what's weird about that, though, is where typically I agree with you that gets to be a little overwhelming and everything gets short-shrifted instead of being more selective. You don't get enough of any one thing. And I don't even know that that's not the case here, because it seems like a lot of what you're saying is that it is just so much. I don't know why. I loved this. I was caught up in everything that was going on. I did think I actually thought the special effects here, the gore effects and the violence and stuff that went on, I thought was really effective. There are also some other, like, movie is like a combination, and it wears its influences on its sleeve. I won't tell you what they are until we get to the spoiler section.
Oh, they're apparent, though.
Oh, yeah. It definitely wears all of its influences right there out in front. Even I feel a reference in the title, which again we're going to save for the spoiler section. I definitely feel like, I enjoyed this. It's not a perfect 5-skull movie by any means. It does have its limitations, but this is a 4-skull movie for me. I really enjoyed this.
Sweet. I am not surprised at all, and we'll talk about stuff in the spoiler section. I do have to say that this is one of those movies where it's all over the place for me, to the extent that if somebody said this is a 1-star, I'd go, yeah, I can see how you feel like that. And if they said this is a 5, I'd go, yeah, I can see how you feel like that. This is just, it's gonna be your thing or it's not gonna be your thing. It just depends, and I don't know how I feel about it. So
we are definitely in agreement. It is very much with the muchness. There's muchness in this movie. It is a lot.
I'm already a lot, so this movie was like too much. I'm already the too much. So yeah, I want to just get into the spoiler section. Shall we do it?
I think so, guys. If you want to go see the film before we get into the spoiler parts, this is where you're going to want to pause the episode if you're not sure where to see the film. It's on Shudder. Where have you been? That's literally
We watched it. We watched Shudder. Though sometimes we don't. Maybe.
Hit that pause button right now. And then, did you come back? I always want to ask. I hope you came back. Michelle, spoilers here on Bloodflower.
Do you want the story first for those who did not watch?
Why do I... Yeah, please.
I don't know.
If you
should just, in between everything, just ask me.
First of all, Michelle, I'm curious to see how you are going to summarize this plot again, because this movie is a lot. There is very much with the muchness here. So yeah, I'm going to put this microphone down and let you do what you do best, fill these people in on the plot of Bloodflower.
Yeah, for the record, I did not do this because it didn't come out as well as I was hoping, but when I was thinking of the plot, because this is all so out of everywhere, I did start writing like a poem/rap to sum it up, because this movie is so ridiculous. I felt like that was the only way to truly do it justice. But then I went, no, this is taking too long, and I can't. So in the future, there will be poems and raps about movies, because now I'm like, I got ideas going in my head. But anyway, so there's this guy. His name is Iqbal. Iqbal, he sees ghosts. He sees dead people. He don't like it. So his mom dies because she also saw dead people, but she also saw genies and jinns, and she was killed by a genie/jinn, and you ain't never had a friend like him. She ain't never had an enemy like him. He killed her, and Iqbal feels bad about that. And then at his place, there's a greenhouse in one of the apartments, because the super bad guy has a greenhouse, and it has exotic plants, including a bloodflower and a bunch of carnivorous plants. But one thing is not a plant, and that's a door. And that door has a piece of paper on it, and it's a magic piece of paper, and the piece of paper comes off the door, and now there's a demon loose. Oh no. Iqbal's like, oh shit, don't like that. Some shenanigans happen. One lady throws herself off a balcony, but then he can still see her, and that's a pretty cool scene. Really like that. Iqbal, do not like it. Do not like it as much as I did. And then stuff happens. And then they find out that the guy who has the greenhouse, who has a daughter, but we can't acknowledge that she's a daughter, and her name is Boy. She had a sister who was the daughter of this bad man, and he, I think, raped her and impregnated her, and then she became a demon and shit the baby out on the bed. I don't know. I'm not 100% clear how the reproductive process worked in this movie. I don't know if that was I'm very confused. But yeah, the demon fuckery happens, but then Iqbal gets rid of the demon. The end? The end? I don't know.
It's a lot.
I don't know.
It's a lot, Michelle.
It is a lot.
Right. Let's jump right away into just rattling off the crushingly obvious influences and references that are being made here in homages. You've got The Sixth Sense here. You've got The Exorcist here. You've got Ringu here. You've got the Little Shop of Horrors here. I feel like the very opening
Evil
of this...
Dead.
Yeah, Evil Dead, absolutely. I feel like the very opening of this, with that door slamming shut and then squeaking open, when it swings back open and it makes that squeaking sound, it reminds me so much of the weird camera flash noise from the opening of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ooh. I feel like it has to be a reference to that. Even down to... So the original title of this film in Malaysia is, I believe it's... Let me find it here. Harum Malam. Harum space Malam. Harum Malam. And Harum Malam, you may just assume, translates into blood flower. It does not. Harum Malam means, I believe, fragrant night is what it translates to. And that makes me think, okay, why did they change the name in English to, yes, fragrant night, I just confirmed. Why did they change the name in English to blood flower? And considering how severe some of the gore in this movie is, I almost feel like that's some kind of a reference to Guinea Pig 3 or Guinea Pig 2 maybe. I forget which one. The one that's Flower of Flesh and Blood with the samurai cutting people up. The one that Charlie Sheen thought was a real snuff film. You remember that one, right?
It's not?
I guess not. But no, this movie, like, there are... homages and ideas borrowed from all over the goddamn place, even down to like not just Ringu, which I mentioned, but also I unfortunately don't remember what the original Japanese title was, but there's even some elements of Dark Water here, that one where they remade it with Jennifer Connelly here in the States. Mm-hmm. There's so much, but it didn't bother me. Because there's also a lot about this movie that's, like, it's unique and new for me. Like, I thought it was very interesting to see, it's got a lot of Exorcist vibes, but it's coming from a Muslim culture rather than from a Christian culture, and how, interestingly, a lot of those things are very much the same, where you might expect them to be somewhat significantly different. A lot of overlapping there. I don't know if that's just because... they were imitating Western films like The Exorcist and just transposing Islam over it. But it was really interesting. It felt like it had kind of this like hybrid Malaysian folklore with Islamic tradition, religious stuff kind of blending and overlapping. And look, the gore in this is nuts. There are several moments in this movie where I was just like, holy shit, because there are times where they go places. Some of them right on that edge. There's all this stuff involving babies and fetuses in this movie that are right on that edge of where things become really too much for me. It's really intense at times and really heavy. And I just, like I said, as much as I agree with you that this is very, like, patchwork, it's very slapdash in a lot of ways. There are so many different things happening. Somehow I still managed to get drawn in, and I enjoyed every minute of this. Okay, your turn.
Okay. I think... there is a particular scene, which I've already very briefly described it, that if you watch this scene out of any context of the movie, you'll probably be just as conflicted as I am about, like, how the hell am I supposed to feel about that? And that's the girl/woman, a teenager, young lady, I don't know, the demon lady on the bed who then, like, breaks herself upwards, squats, gives birth, snaps back to reality. I don't know. I can't finish that. Snap back to reality. But
there goes gravity.
That whole... Yeah, I know the lyric. I was trying to tie it back to Blood Flower, but all I could think of her was shitting out a baby, and it broke my head. But, like, that whole thing, like, I really like contortions in horror, because it's something, especially if it's a person who's actually able to bend their body like that. So I like all of that, but in this, it meant that I wasn't going to be afraid, because now I'm just like, oh shit, that's cool. I really like the special effects. So then it stops being a horror film for me, and it's just like a, whoa, cool Cirque du Soleil move, brah. Like, it ruins any attempt at being a horror film for me. And I think like stuff, Evil Dead Rise is one that I've seen recently that I could compare it to, because in that, it is ridiculous and over the top to the point where at certain points in the theater, people cheered. If it was a scary movie, people wouldn't really be doing that, and I feel like that's where this movie kind of toes the line.
I do want to respond to, because like I get it, like that like some people do have that reaction. As we have discussed before, I think when we also talked about Evil Dead Rise, when that is done well for me, and it's all ultimately in the sound design, right? The crunching and the cracking.
Crickly crackly.
And obviously the person's ability to contort their body and make those weird sort of unnatural movements that make it look like something that's not there is forcing them to do things. It's, for me, when that's done well, that fucks me up. The one that gets me the most is anytime somebody gets bent overly backwards across their spine like a scorpion fold. But it makes my fucking skin crawl. So again, that's just one of those things that for some reason works for me.
Wisera, the Bone Woman, is very different from Evil Dead Rise, though. What I'm talking about is like over the top. Like Wisera, like makes you uncomfortable and is very like dramatic in the way that it does, as just so opposed to somebody like I'm thinking of a completely different movie, but like when they suddenly like break into a freestyle run and their body's all over the place and they're jumping on you and attacking you. There's one that came out on Netflix that I completely forgot the name of. God, I can picture like every actor in it, but it's a zombie film. It came out last year. I think it was starring Jamie Foxx and the younger Dave DeFranco. Daybreak. There we go. Dear God, Daybreak. I'm so sorry, everybody. I had to sit there with me, but Daybreak is one of those where it's a lot of body contortion and over the top, and it's just fun action. But it never becomes horror for me because it's just fun action.
And I think in that sort of context, I might have the same reaction. It definitely also matters why this is happening in the context of a story. And that's what really gets me. That's why it gets me in Evil Dead. That's why it was effective for me here, is also that context of this idea that this is a torture that this person is being put through by some force that can't even be seen. It's just, they're being bent and twisted and crunched and smashed. There's something about that it's definitely bad for me. Like say somebody falls from a great height and lands on their spine on something and they spider or scorpion in half or whatever. That's bad. But there's something about that idea of being twisted and manipulated and crunched against your will that, I don't know, there's something in my reptile brain that just shivers at that.
I've never thought of it that way, and thank you for the new fear. The idea that someday I may be twisted backwards against my will. Cool. I'm gonna think about that.
I can tell you a couple of really solid examples of where you can watch that happen in movies.
Oh, I've probably seen a lot of examples.
Sure
I've never thought of I've just been like, oh, well, they can't naturally bend like that. That's just some demon shit. I've never been like, this demon is making them feel everything that they're doing. I've never really analyzed it. So thanks. Gonna think about that
they're being physically tortured. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not just to creep out the people
but I've
watching.
just never yeah. No, it's always been more like I don't know. I grew up with The Exorcist, so I guess maybe I was too young to form a fear of it. I was just this is just what demons do. Like, it wasn't like I was 5, so I couldn't really think of wow, from the perspective of the person who's trapped inside that body. To me, I'm just like, oh, it's just demon shit.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it.
I can see that.
Huh.
Well, and ultimately that comes
out,
terrifying. Certain things, different things work for different people, right? Like there are things that creep other people out that just have very little effect on me as well. But yeah, this one just, And then again, it has those extreme gore moments. First of all, actually, almost got ahead of myself. You mentioned there. Obviously, I know what scene you're talking about, where where Aboy squats down. First of all, it's interesting to me that you're like, wait, did she just shit that baby? Because it's this more or less the same position if the baby comes out from where it's supposed to come out. If you're just squatting down and forcing it out.
It's just funnier.
That idea honestly never even occurred to me at any point. I just assumed it was like, oh, she just like baby squirted out a weird demon monster baby thing. Very weird. But I find it interesting that one was one that was a little difficult for you when later in this very same movie, this guy hacks his pregnant daughter to death with a fucking machete. I was like, holy shit, they went to places I was not expecting them to go. And you're right, it does have a feeling of there are a lot of gigantic set pieces here, any one of which feel like they could be the climactic moment of a film. But there's I almost wonder if maybe this wasn't initially developed as like a mini-series for TV or Netflix or something, and then it ended up just being a feature-length film. Who knows? But it's
a bunch of 5-minute YouTube videos, and every single YouTube video ends with one of the big fucking blood massacres that happens in the movie. There's probably enough to do it. Just a YouTube series that got turned into a Shudder original.
I do also want to point out that I find it very interesting that character Aboy. I believe the other name is Nurul or some. I should look
something
for
along
sure.
Those lines.
I got it right here in front of me. Let's find it. God, JD, why don't you do? Oh,
it's Aboy.
Of course,
on IMDb,
yeah. IMDb says Aboy.
But
Let's
it was
check.
something like Nurul.
Yeah, and so I find that interesting because. I did Google Aboy, and apparently this is a very common, like, I don't remember it's like a nickname that is used for young boys in that sort of Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia kind of part of the world. But I was like, okay, so, like, obviously they're going back and forth between these names, and there are moments where people are like, no, call them Aboy. And I thought it was just this like very subtle inclusion of perhaps a younger trans character. But there's this one moment, and I don't know if it's just a problem with the translation of the subtitles or if it really meant something. But at one point, they're talking to the grandmother, and the subtitles tell me that what the grandmother says is nobody's supposed to know she was a girl. And I'm like, wait, is this something that's hiding, or is this just we're not supposed to call it just a bad translation in the subtitles? You know, I really want to look into that because they never do anything with it. For the rest of the film, or I don't know, maybe the idea is, it's just hitting me now, Michelle. Holy shit. Guys, I literally finished this movie 5 minutes before we went on, and this is a realization that's just hitting me. So Jamil, Nurul's father, basically estranged them for years and years and years. And went to or whatever. I wonder, were they trying to make Nurul appear like a boy to hide the child from Jamil based on what he did to Farah? But wouldn't he know already what that Nurul was born a specific gender? Because Nurul was, I think, older than Farah when he's murdering Farah at the end. There's an exchange there where they're talking about both the mother and Aboy. So there are some things there that I think are maybe lost in translation, But man,
I have a couple theories.
Yeah,
because
go
I
ahead,
also was kind of wondering about that.
Please.
I don't think it's a trans thing, at least in the way that it's presented, because when not out in public, they're not wearing like the kind of tomboyish clothes, like the cap. Like they dress very differently in private. And I kind of wondered, well, first off, I think it is just for like public. For public, they don't want them to acknowledge that they're a girl for some reason. And then I was wondering if maybe there's something with this particular demon that I'm not aware of, where like obviously the things that happen, majority happens to women with like pregnancy and stuff like that. Like, are they trying to hide her from the demon because the grandma knows that it's locked in that greenhouse? I just don't know enough about like this supernatural entity that they showcased, and I was kind of wondering like, well, what happens is that it's revealed like a boy's a girl and then bad shit happens to her. So it's like, was that the grandma's way of trying to like make it so if everybody just pretends that she's a boy? But I don't know. I think there's something there that got missed on me, but also I kind of just zoned out for some parts of the movie because there was so much going on that I was... There's a fucking vagina plant. Okay, there's a lot
there really is,
going on in this movie.
Yeah, it's like I said, it definitely. I have to say, it does feel like one of those movies where, look, like my initial thought before I started even clocking all the other references along the way was like, if I was gonna sum this movie up in one soundbite, it's like The Sixth Sense and The Exorcist had a baby, and it was raised in Malaysia by James Wan.
And then it was eaten by a demon in a very, very messy fashion.
And interestingly enough, like that was also a thought I had while I was watching this is I will not be surprised if there's an English language American remake of this movie sometime in the next 2 to 3 years. I like it just feels so much it feels so much like a James Wan movie, only I actually enjoyed it, which is not usually the case. Like, even that moment, feels like a Malignant reference. The fucking face comes out of the back of the head, and then, like, there's
so
all these...
ridiculous.
There's all these different sequences, which we've talked about. One of the things that really gets under my skin is when things that are way too voluminous get shoved down or pulled out of people's throats. There's a lot of vomiting shit from one mouth to another. That's way fucked. Like this one, I think that's a big part of it. Is it did manage in its big set pieces and its moments to hit a lot of my very specific, like, ooh, that one really gets me. And that definitely allowed me to get caught up in it, I imagine maybe a little more than you.
I have only one parting thought. Do you have any parting thoughts if I give my parting thought?
No, I think I've said, like I do agree with you that it's not perfect. They did try to do a whole lot here. But again, the whole lot that they did worked for me, and I really had fun with this one.
Once they revealed that there was this flower that only bloomed once every 8 years, I immediately, every time they talked about the flower going forward, I thought of 1993's Dennis the Menace, because that is the whole storyline of that movie, and I've seen that movie so many fucking times, and the whole thing is that Dennis the Menace ruins this man's opportunity to see this flower he's been cultivating, and could not get that out of my head the entire movie. Sorry if I just ruined 1993's Dennis the Menace for you, but that's what a whole part of it is about.
Well, and it's here's another thing that's just hitting me out of the blue while you're talking there is another thing that this movie references. It feels like it references Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, a.k.a. Dead Alive, in the sense that, now that plant, the blood flower, which is actually known as the corpse flower because it smells like death, that's a real plant, and everything that guy said about it is basically true. It's not a single day that the plant flowers for, but it's a very short flowering period, just once every several years, and the thing just reeks like fucking death, apparently. But it's found natively in Indonesia and Sumatra. He specifically mentions that he brought this one from Sumatra. And the thing in Brain Dead / Dead Alive is a Sumatran rat monkey.
Yep.
And it's that whole thing where they brought the plant back, and then the demon caught a ride in the plant back to Malaysia, and then started spreading into people from there, where the Sumatran rat monkey turned people into weird zombie creatures in Dead Alive. Jesus, this movie is just thick with layers and layers and layers of here's all the shit that I loved. I like that. I do want to take a moment. Go ahead.
I did want to say, it'd be really funny if the writers had never seen any of these movies and it is just a crazy coincidence.
That would be nuts.
None of this is an homage. They're like, what are you talking about? The Exorcist? What?
That would be madness. I would not know how to deal with that. I do want to talk about...
Were you going to get to the reviews?
Yeah, I do want to talk about some of the reviews that some other people have posted here on Shudder.
I got one.
Some of them are very positive. Some of them are very negative. One in particular that I just want to point out because I can't believe this is their complaint. I'll leave off the name because I don't want to, put negative, I don't want to give any, any exposure to this, whatever. It just says, one skull, not in English. And my only reply to that is, do you not know how to read, sir? Clearly you know how to write. But it's
there's
just
always one on any non-English movie on Shudder.
God forbid a movie be made in a language other than English. Oh, I gotta sit down and fucking read. Don't get me wrong. I understand. I have made my complaints about reading movies, but I have specific reasons for that, and I certainly don't fucking blame the movies.
The comment/comments that I wanted to showcase.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a reason I brought up that comment specifically is actually because just later on in the same reviews, there's another one. This one from somebody called Rocky Loves Emily. I hope Emily also loves Rocky. Otherwise, that could be real awkward. This is a 5-skull review, and it says, wish this movie was in English. That's how you do it, Rocky Loves Emily. Sure, express that you would have preferred to not have to read this movie while you were watching it, because, again, there is a whole fucking lot going on to keep track of. But come on, you're gonna dog on the movie as a one skull just because it was in a different language? That's dumb. I probably you had a thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So now that we always try to find a few reviews and talk about them, from our discussions, I realized, and I know you've realized this, it wasn't just me being a genius, but Shudder does not show you all the reviews because some of the reviews you're referencing aren't on mine and vice versa.
I'm looking right at it.
I hope that most people get to see the lore that is happening in the reviews of this movie, because somebody named Grendel1972 @ symbol at the end gave a 2 skull saying this movie is really stupid. Not even a 1 skull, just a 2 skull. And then there are 5 reviews just saying bandwagon on Grendel, not as stupid as your haircut, Grendel. Hey now, Grendel, such is as stupid does. Oh, come on, Grendel. I just saw the movie. I don't think it's stupid. I love it. Grendel you. So I just love this battle that is going on about, they didn't even give it a 1 skull. It was not a 1 skull review. It was a 2 skull, and there's 5 additional reviews. That are all 4 or 5 about Grendel.
I actually missed that somehow. I thought you were going to go with this one here, which is a 3-skull review, so I guess it's somewhat positive. I'm gonna credit that one to also because I love the name. It's someone on Shudder using the screen name Spastic : and this is clearly a person who hasn't figured out that they don't show you all the reviews that have been made. This says, let's see, 23 skulls given by 7 reviewers. That's 3.2 skulls average by my math. Of course, Shudder lists it as a 5-star average. It's one of the few new movies we get this month. First of all, you're getting a new movie every fucking week this month. That's more than you've gotten all year. Sit down. Also, come on, man. We all know they don't show you all of the reviews that have been listed. There are plenty of them that I've put out there that I've never seen myself on the screen. People make me sad.
They
Michelle.
just don't spend a lot of time in the Shudder reviews like we do, because it was not until you and I started discussing them that I realized we were not seeing the same. You just got to get some friends together and hang out and be like, I'm going to read all the Shudder reviews I see. You tell me where there's an overlap and which ones I'm missing, and together we will figure out what all the reviews actually say. We'll put together a graph and find out those outliers that aren't getting displayed to the rest of us. And that's how we'll do it. That's how we're going to fight back.
You already have over 900 squelching images, approaching 1,000. I do not need to set you loose on another fool's errand.
Fair.
Guys, I know I've... For those of you who may just be recent listeners, you need to understand, all I did was I sent Michelle a screen cap from... I don't even remember what the movie was.
Super Deep.
It was super deep. It's
one of my first squelches.
Just a completely black screen, and it's one of those moments in a movie where you see nothing and you just hear it. And so it's just a completely black screen, and the subtitle is in the brackets to indicate that it's a sound effect that you're supposed to be hearing, and it just says squelching. Just squelching as a single subtitle on a black screen. I took a screen cap of it, sent it to Michelle. She has now collected more than 900 screen caps of squelching subtitles appearing in various places. I'm sorry? Should I be apologizing, Michelle?
I don't know, because I have fun collecting them. I have a whole system now. If you tell me there's a squelch in an episode or a movie, I can have it collected within a matter of minutes. I have got a system. I am very good at looking at the preview on the timeline of the show or the movie and being like, that's going to be where the squelch is. I am very good at recognizing those places. So I have fun. My only concern is that other people probably question my sanity, and that's fair. So that's really my big concern. So if you want to check them out, they're the squelch files on our website. I've got enough to release them over the course of the next year with the amount that I have, so that they can just keep regularly getting updated. There's stuff from Even Stevens and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and some Shudder films and Archer, Silicon Valley, Murder, She Wrote,
Squelching be
lots
going
of
on
Stranger
everywhere.
Things. Lots of Stranger Things. Those ones are great because they're tentacle squelching wetly. Those are some Stranger Things are my favorite ones.
Tentacle
Mad
squelching
God
wetly is the name of my new punk rock band.
Mad God has got 16 squelches in the span of like a 3-minute
Yeah, that makes sense.
time.
I'm
sucked
surprised
capturing those.
that the entire subtitle panel for all of Mad God is not just squelching the entire time. That
Squelching.
movie is
Yeah.
nonstop squelch from minute one.
I love it. I'm so
That's
happy
fabulous.
that squelches exist. It's
And-
something to live for.
For
and there's
sure.
very few of those.
As long as we're talking about the squelch files on the website, also we did mention that there are new releases coming every single week in September and October, and that whole schedule right now is available on our website. Go check it out. Also, don't forget, coming up in October, we are releasing one new episode every single day, all month long. We're going to do the 5 new releases coming from Shudder. Then we're going to go do 26 bonus episodes. And what are we talking about this year, Michelle?
Shorts.
Spooky shorts. Horror
They're
short
like pants,
films.
but not as long.
Right, yeah, and that's why we're calling feature films pants. So we watched this Pants Bloodflower. That's probably not going to work.
No.
What we're not going to do is list those on the schedule, but Michelle is preparing some checklists to send out So you can start watching those a little bit in advance towards the end of the month. But our list is locked. If you didn't get your requests in or your suggestions, I'm sorry. Better luck next time.
But you can still send me your suggestions because I still want to watch them. I want to watch every bit of horror that has ever been invented.
She's not
wrong. I'm
She's
trying.
trying real hard.
Legion right now is my obsession, and that is better than a lot of horror movies. Oh my God, it's so fucking good.
Fabulous. Go check out Bloodflower if it sounds like it's for you and you haven't done so yet. I got nothing left to say. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media, your home for all of today's Rat Factoryist podcasts. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of We Watch Shudder are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Rat Factory Media. But wait, aren't Rat Factory Media and We Watch Shudder the same people? Shut your cake hole, Charlie. Nobody asked you. We Watch Shudder is available free on all major podcast platforms, and the easiest way to support We Watch Shudder is also free. Just leave a rating and review on your platform of choice. Merge your consciousness with ours on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We're at We Watch Shudder on all those social media platforms. Or find us the old-fashioned way, on the web at WeWatchShudder.com or by email at mail@WeWatchShudder.com. Heck, you can even leave us a voicemail at 701-566-9510. No, seriously, 701-566-9510. Try it if you dare.